So, Sister Rose Uchem, welcome to this chat.
Thank you very much, Sister Seraphine Awemo.
Yes, thank you. Growing up in Nigeria, I am sure you have heard a lot about Bishop Shanahan. I have in Cameroon, and thank God the two of us are Holy Rosary sisters. Now, in many places in Nigeria, you will hear Shanahan, Bishop Shanahan. For instance, there's Bishop Shanahan Training College at Olu, Bishop Shanahan Hospital and Suka, and then Shanahan University in Onitsha, which is the latest institution that is named after him. What or who was this Shanahan?
Bishop Joseph Ignatius Shanahan, CSSp, was an Irish missionary Holy Ghost priest. He was born in 1871, on the 4th of June, 1871. He came out to Nigeria on mission in 1902. He was the one through whom God established the Christian faith in eastern Nigeria. He died in 1943 in Kenya, and his remains were brought back to Nigeria in 1956. He was reburied in Holy Trinity Cathedral then. Now, Basilica of the Most Holy Trinity, Onitsha.
Thank you very much. Now, as you said, he came out to Nigeria in 1902. And history tells us that before 1902, there had been so many other missionaries that came to Nigeria. So, what was so special about him? After all, he was not the first. So what was so special about him? Why Bishop Shanahan all over the place?
Yes, the thing that was special about him was the fact that he penetrated the interior places throughout Igbo land and beyond, places where no white man had set foot before, previously. Part of it was that many of the other missionaries died within a few days and at most a few weeks after their arrival. In his own case, God spared him. He did not die, and through him, the Christian faith was implanted. And it was his missionary methods, really, the way God inspired him, that made the missionary venture successful during his tenure.
Okay. Yeah, you've touched on something very important. You have talked of his missionary method. So, can you tell us more about his missionary method? What was special about his missionary method?
First of all, he went about his responsibilities by listening to the Holy Spirit dwelling inside him, prompting him. He listened and did whatever the Spirit prompted him to do. His major approach to evangelization was through education. He established a chain of schools throughout the area he was responsible for, which stretched from the River Niger on the western side to the Benue in the north, and then to the east, to as far as the Adamawa Hills and into the Cameroon. Because during the World War, the German priests who were ministering in Cameroon, they were arrested and imprisoned, and the Holy See added Cameroon to the area he was responsible for. In fact, history has it that he went on 1,000-mile trek from Onitsha to Cameroon. And all along the way, wherever he arrived, he said mass in the open places. Most of all, those schools he established were, he used them as centers of evangelization. And he collaborated with not only priests, but also religious sisters and brothers. And as his work was progressing, you know, it is said that the reward for hard work is more work. So as his work was expanding, these boys were graduating and getting employment in the government, reaching marriageable age. There were no girls, no young women they could marry who were both educated and Christianized. His aim of establishing a strong church, he knew, would not work if there weren't strong families. And without women who were equally educated and empowered with Christianity, to enter into marriage on the basis of equal partnership with the men, the families will not be strong. So in order to achieve that purpose, he needed reverend sisters to do that. And he went around the convents in Europe to get volunteers who would come when he didn't succeed, narrating that to the Pope. Pope Pius XI then, the Pope of the Missions, as he used to be called, encouraged him to begin his own congregation. And so he founded the Holy Rosary Sisters in 1924. The first set came out in 1928. And they began schools for girls. And many of the Igbo women who are educated today were people who passed through the Holy Rosary Sisters. Like the late Professor Dorakuli was a product of Holy Rosary education system. And his vision of strong Christian families was achieved, and his vision of laying a strong church was achieved. And the church he founded was a missionary church. The products of his school, they became civil servants. They became government workers, traders, all of that. And wherever they went, not just in eastern Nigeria, but to every part of Nigeria, they went like missionaries. Like even the traders, they carried their faith. And till today, you know, the SHANAHAN faith the Igbos received is still going on. And even outside Nigeria, like in the diaspora, you have Igbo Catholic communities, Nigerian Catholic community. It is the SHANAHAN faith still going. In fact, people who have lived in places like Kano, Kaduna, Lagos, they will testify that any year they don't participate. You know, for instance, if they go on strike, if they pull back from some of those activities they used to, the parish suffer. And they carry out their missionary methods through financially supporting the church. And you hear about the Nigerian church flourishing. I bet you it is that SHANAHAN faith that is still working till today.
Yes, sister, thank you so much. As you are talking, I am getting more enlightened. I'm a Holy Rosary, but I'm still learning and learning a lot. Yeah, you've mentioned some achievements of Bishop SHANAHAN, but it sounds as if there's more than that. There must be more than that. Could you throw more light on his achievements? Can you tell us more of some of the things he achieved as a missionary?
Okay, I will talk more about his achievement, but let me say something about let me say more about how he worked. He worked collaboratively. You can say he engaged in collaborative ministry. You know, long before the term collaborative ministry it became popular as it is now. He worked with not only priests, but also sisters, brothers, catechists. He worked with lay people, both men and women. He even brought volunteers from Ireland, lay women, to come and help in the work of evangelization. And so work progressed. He didn't just work alone, and he saw them as co-missionaries. So often he referred to as anybody engaged in the work of evangelization in the area he was responsible for. He referred to them as co-missionaries. One of his achievements was stimulating new sisterhoods and new institutes for evangelization. For instance, while he was on leave, sometime he went to the National Missionary Seminary in Maynooth, Ireland, and spoke to the seminarians and the lecturers, urging them to volunteer to come out to Africa. And he was such a persuasive speaker that up to 5 priests volunteered to come to Nigeria with him at the end of his leave. Among them, the late Bishop of Abakaliki, Bishop Magetri. Then, as a young Father Magetri, on the ship, he questioned him, my Lord, this and that. And one of the questions he asked, will we be allowed to drink beer? And just to show how important it was to him that these priests were coming with him, he said, drink whatever will keep you longer. We keep you one day longer in Nigeria. And so, through the involvement of those diocesan priests from Ireland, they stayed for 5 years. And they decided to make it a permanent thing and form themselves into a society called St. Patrick's Missionary Societies. They are thriving now. They are now all over the world. And then, in sometime later too, he welcomed a volunteer individual Reverend Sister that later became Mother Mary Charles Walker, who founded Handmaids of the Holy Child Jesus. He also welcomed an established congregation, the Society of the Holy Child Jesus. This was at a time he was in the process of forming his own congregation. For him, it didn't matter from wherever the workers of the Lord came. Let all hands be on deck to promote the reign of God. For him, it didn't matter, he didn't care about preserving territorial integrity. So that collaborative ministry for me was a big achievement. And in the middle of it, so much got done. The church was established as he desired, and it's a strong church, a missionary church that people are still carrying forward. But then for the people that directly benefited from his education, the education that he offered, the Igbos, he gave them a head start. They were not the first to receive education in Nigeria, but it helped them. It gave the Igbos a head start. And all around the world till today, the Igbos are among the most highly qualified people. And in a special way, the Igbo women. We remember in those early days, women were not allowed to go to education. They were denied the opportunity for education. It's all thanks to Bishop SHANAHAN. Today, Igbo women are the most highly credentialed in all the world. And so, we owe so much to Bishop SHANAHAN.
Okay, sister, thank you very much. Now, Bishop Shanahan has done so much for the church in Nigeria. He has achieved so much. Yeah, I think the people would like to hear something about himself, him, as not just what he did, but his person. Who was he?
Thank you so much. I like that question because he achieved a lot. And great as his achievement was, his person was even greater. People who knew him in person testified to the kind of life he lived. He lived a holy life. And in my understanding, to be holy means to be full of God, to be close to God. Around 1987, the Congregation of the Missionary Sisters of the Holy Rosary commissioned Sister Edith Dinan, whom around here people called Adeze, to go around Igbo land, even to as far as Efik area, to interview men and women who knew Bishop Shanahan in person. And reading through her manuscript, one of the things that comes across, and they were almost unanimous about, was that Bishop Shanahan was a holy man. People testified to the love in his heart, that if you saw him, you felt as if you were in the presence of Christ. His love and his forgiveness, his trust in divine providence was remarkable. There was a story about somebody that offended him very seriously. This story was told by Sister Philomena Fox, one of the early sisters, one of the early Holy Rosary sisters who worked in Onitsha as his personal secretary. How it was that a man who wrote a letter against him came shortly after that asking for a favor. And he responded. The man needed 500 pounds. Remember, Irish pound, British pounds in those days. He was in trouble. And his hope was that by writing whatever letter he wrote, that Bishop Shanahan would be removed from the mission. And then whatever he did would not be exposed. And of course, his superiors who received the letter sent him a copy. And when the man came up, Sister described the scene as when he saw the man coming towards his office from his veranda, that he turned pale, and then he turned red, and he just held onto the table, and his whole frame was shaking. And after a while, he collected himself and welcomed the man into the office and listened to him. He put across his request, and he instructed Sister to make out a check. And that was the entire money they had in the mission.
Wow.
And not long after that, he received in the post a gift, a check of 500 pounds. And he held up that check and he said a prayer to Sister's hearing. He said, I know you will not disappoint me.
Yeah.
And it's one of the unforgettable things. And that level of forgiveness, I think is something we can imitate. That holiness of life, I think going up, going down, the bottom line in Christianity is that forgiveness. I think it is what makes it distinct, what makes Christianity distinct from other religions. If only we as the children of Bishop Shanahan can imitate that, that will be a lot. He's called our father in the faith. It's only right that we should imitate him. So, in addition to imitating his virtues, I think we can also pray to him. When we have such a person in heaven, we have additional intercessors in heaven. We can pray to him and take note of favors received and
let me just come in there now, sister. You've said something about praying for him, and it has just reminded me of the course of canonization.
Oh yes.
Tell us something about that.
Yes. The course for his canonization was introduced in 1997 by Pope John Paul II when he came to Onitsha. That was in 1997. So by taking note of those miracles and reporting them, it will speed up the process for his canonization. Because if we his children, all those who have received faith in Nigeria and those who have come to hear this story, if we report miracles and favors received, it will help the leaders of the church to recognize that this is a holy man. And one of the things really that he did, that often people don't put their mind to, is that he established the indigenous clergy very early in his missionary career in Nigeria. He opened a seminary in Ibariam, which the likes of the Blessed Iwene Tansi, and the late Bishop John Anyogo, and the others, those early clergy attended. Again, somebody who produced saints, it's only right that his own sainthood should be recognized. And for me, it doesn't make a difference, because by the grace of God, he is with Christ. Yeah. But it's good for him to be recognized so that more people will know about him and thereby get to imitate his virtue and propagate those things he stood for.
Yes, thank you so much. And here you have just indicated that to report miracles and favors received, we should write to the vice postulator for the cause of Bishop Shanahan, the cause of Bishop Joseph Shanahan, and send through an email, which is shanahan1902@gmail.com. And you can also send a WhatsApp message to 08059835333, or write to the Holy Rosary Convent, P.O. Box 9677, Enugu, Nigeria. So, Sister Rose, it was really nice talking to you, and I think we are proud to be daughters of Bishop Shanahan.
Oh yes.
And it has been great just having this chat with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's great to have this opportunity. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.